And now, your host for Sports Talk, owner, founder, Ed Boston. All right, folks, welcome to Sports Talk today. It is Saturday, the 5th day of December in the year 2015. Welcome to the show. Got lots of good stuff for you, and thank you to John Fogerty for his introduction. And always loved to get the baseball. Always love to get the baseball mood going because we got some baseball news for you today. We're going to get to. Going to look at the NFL as we do each week. Go through my picks from the week before. I'll tell you, I had a much better week than I did 2 weeks ago. NBA. We'll go through the standings there. College football, basketball. We'll go through the top 25. Look at college football as far as the playoffs are getting ready to go. And then we'll close out the show with taking a look at our good friend over at WrestlingNewsBlog.com. Let's get to the NFL. And we're getting down to where it's time to start thinking that teams that are serious about making a move better get it on. So last week, Thanksgiving week, there was 3 games that we already knew on last week's show, and I was 1-2 on those, so it was looking like not such a good week as we started off. The scores were Philadelphia losing to Detroit 45-14, Carolina topping Dallas 33-14, and Chicago beating Green Bay 17-13. Of those 3 games, the only one I got correct was undefeated Carolina beating Dallas. On the Sunday games, Indianapolis 25, Tampa Bay 12. I picked that correctly. Minnesota over Atlanta 20-10. I missed that one. Now I go on a string of 5 wins in a row. That being St. Louis losing to Cincinnati 31-7. So Cincinnati is victorious there. Oakland over Tennessee 24-21. Kansas City 30, Buffalo 22. New York Jets 38, Miami 20, and the Washington Redskins 20, the New York Giants 14. All 5 of those games I picked as winners. Cincinnati over St. Louis, Oakland over Tennessee, Kansas City over Buffalo, the Jets over the Dolphins, and the Skins over the New York Giants. Lost the next one. San Diego defeated Jacksonville 31-25. One of those who gives a rip. We're playing for next year games. Houston 24, New Orleans 6. I got that correct. In what was a close game that I expected to be a blowout. Arizona 19-13 over San Francisco. I did pick the winner right there, so that was good. Pittsburgh losing to Seattle 39-30. High-scoring affair there. In my favorite game of the day, my favorite pick of the week, I had picked Denver to upset New England. And Denver upset New England. I love it. 30-24 in overtime. And in the Monday night game, Baltimore 33, Cleveland 27. I picked that right. That gives me a total for the week of 11-5. Total for the year 109-67, and my winning percentage is back on the upswing, 62% even for the year. If I didn't have that 4-10 week in there 2 weeks ago, I'd look much better. If I didn't have that 6-10 week from week 2, I'd look much better. And so that is taking us up through last week. Let's look at week 13 and see where I'm picking. And this week's Thursday night game, I've already gotten correct. Green Bay over Detroit, 27-23. The Sunday games taking place tomorrow. I guess since this is Saturday, the Sunday games would be taking place tomorrow. Boy, that was right on top of it there for me. I've got Indianapolis over Pittsburgh. Of course, I always pick my Colts to win. Houston over Buffalo. That's kind of an upset because Buffalo is at home, but Houston's playing pretty good football right now. I'm picking the Texans. Chicago at home against San Francisco. I'm going to take the Bears. Cincinnati on the road at Cleveland. You never know in that division, and with those two especially. Cincinnati's the better team. I'm going with the Bengals. Jacksonville at Tennessee. I'm going with an upset here. Tennessee needs to win. Actually, they don't need to win if they want to continue to get the top pick in the draft. But I'm picking them to beat Jacksonville. Arizona is going to beat St. Louis. Picking the home team the next 4 games. Miami over Baltimore. Minnesota over Seattle. The New York Giants over the New York Jets. And Tampa Bay over Atlanta. Picking the home team in each of those. In the late games tomorrow, got Oakland at home over Kansas City. That's kind of a risky pick. Kansas City been playing well. Oakland is up and down. I'm hoping this is their up week. Picking Denver on the road at San Diego. That's not much of a stretch. New England, after picking against them last week, got to pick for them to win this week because they're playing Philadelphia at New England. So I'm picking the Patriots. Our only undefeated team left, Carolina. I'm picking them over New Orleans at the Saints' place. And in the Monday night game, what at one point in time was always a huge game, Dallas at Washington. I'm saying at this point Dallas doesn't win another game this year unless they just pull something out of the hat. I've got the Skins winning that. So there we are with that. There was a story that was out earlier this week. I did make some notes on it, and actually forgot all about it until just a few minutes ago after we started the program. Ben Roethlisberger recently took himself out of a game for fear of concussion symptoms, and said that his life in the future with family and such was more important than him finishing that football game. And I got to give him credit for thinking that way. I mean, the macho, manly thing to do is to stick it out and be a man about it. Grow a set. And I congratulate him on thinking about his family and his future. It is a serious issue. When you look at people who have done sports like football, professional wrestling, different things like that, where their bodies have taken severe beatings. And you just got to commend people who are willing to stand up for themselves because they don't have anybody to stand up for them. And so, Big Ben, I don't think anybody's calling Big Ben a wuss. I know I certainly wouldn't. I mean, there may be other football players that are saying or thinking that, but there's probably even more that are saying and thinking, boy, I'm glad some high-profile guy did this. And, well, it just is, it's a tough thing because the game of football, professional wrestling, some other thing, hockey, are violent. I mean, that's just all there is to it. It's violence. And is that enough to justify the things that happen to these guys later in life? I mean, tonight, when this program is over with and I'm out at HPW Arena, I'm going to see a couple of veterans of the professional wrestling sport. Wildfire Tommy Rich is going to be back again this month, and one of the Fantastics, Bobby Fulton, is going to be at the arena tonight. And I know from seeing Tommy Rich a couple of times already, his body just is broken down. We'll see how Fulton looks tonight while he's there. But these guys make multi-millions of dollars, and they pay a big price for doing that. And that's it's a shame, but some people would say, well, that's why they get paid the big bucks. I don't think I agree with that. Some injuries that we can mention: Gronkowski from the Patriots is out. Again, Andrew Luck from the Colts is still out. And how ironic. His backup, 40-year-old Matt Hasselbeck, I called him Hasselhoff to somebody the other day. I guess I thought Knight Rider was running the Colts offense this month. But he's 4-0, and the league drug tests him. Now, I'm not saying it's above anybody to need to be drug tested, but they also did the same thing after Vinatieri earlier this year kicked a 50-some-yard field goal to win a game. So drug testing them old farts, I know they say they're random and stuff like that. It just seems ironic. Vinatieri kicks a extra long field goal to win a game, drug test. Hasselbeck is 4-0 as a starter, drug test. And there you go. Now, let me go over here to my switchboard real quick and look. Okay, we're running about where I need to be right now. Want to get into my favorite sport. And as we do that, I'm going to play a little snippet here. Hey, this is Ed from Ed Boston Ministries. Wanted to let everyone know that I'm taking bookings for speaking engagements, Sunday church services, extended numbers of services or revival, individual groups, or really just about any event you would like to invite me to. Just email me at bookings@edboston.com. Looking forward to hearing from you. God bless, and go out and do the right thing. All right, well, that's talking about me, Pastor Ed Boston, and what I do for my calling in life, and that is I am a ordained minister. What I do for fun in life is I watch sports and follow sports. And my favorite, once again, is the Major League Baseball season. My favorite team is the Cardinals, and what we're looking at right now is free agents, trades, etc. We're going to look at free agency first, and some big signings in the last few days. The top two people on the free agent list are now off of the free agent list, with David Price signing a contract worth $210 million. Actually, I think it was $217 million with the Boston Red Sox. Zach Greinke signed with the Arizona Diamondbacks. $147 million, front end loaded of $76 million into the first 3 years, and he will be able to opt out after that and sign another huge deal. So I don't even know why they call it what they do. I guess it's, in case something happened that he was no longer the pitcher he is now and decided not to opt out. Next person on the list who is been signed, Matt Waiters, a catcher, went back where did he go? Well, I'll just say he's signed. Jordan Zimmerman, number 11 on the list, signed with Detroit. Who else is signed? Number 16 on the list. And I always hate these. Being a Cardinal fan, you never want to see your players go to anybody in your division, but especially the evil Cubs. And John Lackey signed with the Cubs. He's number 16 on the list. The number 22 ranked free agent Brett Anderson, starting pitcher, signed. Number 24, Ben Ho Park, signed, a first baseman designated hitter. Colby Rasmus re-signed with the Astros. J.A. Happ, starting pitcher, re-signed with the Rays. Marco Estrada, starting pitcher, signed. Chris Young, outfielder, signed. Franklin Gutierrez, outfielder, signed. Rich Hill, starting pitcher and relief pitcher, signed. Nori Akoai, signed. Daner Navarro, a catcher, signed. Chris Iannetta, signed. Brian Pena, signed. Giovanni Soto, catcher, signed. So was Pena, a catcher. And we're getting close to the top 100 here. A.J. Przinsky, catcher, signed. And there is the top 100. And breaking news today, and let me get back to where I can get that. Just a few hours after Zach Greinke signed, free agent pitcher Jeff Samardzija signed a 5-year, $90 million contract with the San Francisco Giants. Now, being a Cardinal fan, signing a big name starting pitcher was high on their list of priorities. They were runners up in the price negotiations. They didn't get him. They didn't get Greinke. They didn't get Samardzija. And they lost Lackey to the evil Cubbies. So the list of people who are going to be number 1, number 2 on the staff is starting to dwindle. And so I'm wondering what they're doing. I know that the big focus for them is to re-sign Jason Hayward. And if they don't do that, there's still some big name bats that they can try to find through there. Or there's still trade possibilities. And let's see if we can get some rumors in the trade mill going here. Let's see. These are all people that have just signed already. In an interesting development, Barry Bonds is now a hitting coach. He is taking over as the hitting coach of the Miami Marlins. He'll be teamed up with Don Mattingly. Those two pretty good hitters right there. In some sad news, Mets general manager Sandy Alderson is diagnosed with cancer. It's a treatable form of cancer, so hoping that everything goes well there. And the winter meetings are going on. That's why we're getting several of the signings that we have had here in the last 2 or 3 days. And a bunch of people who were not offered arbitration is the word I'm looking for. And so many of those who were not offered became free agents. Some have signed already with other teams. And I don't seem to be finding any good trade rumors today. Let me look a couple other places real quick and see if they're... Of course, that being said, I think it was last week that I read that the Cardinals were leading destination for Price and Hayward, and we see that didn't come to anything for the Cardinals other than second place. And in free agency, second place is definitely nothing. You either get them or you don't. And so with that, we are going to switch over to college basketball. And let's listen to our friend Joseph Rojas.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Joseph with Seventh Day Slumber, and you're listening to the Ed Boston podcast. Don't turn that dial. Keep it locked.
Keep it locked. And there's where we are. Get back to my... Come on. There we go. We'll do football first since that's the browser that'll come up faster. Last week kind of was the wrap of the regular season. This weekend we're getting college championship games, and there's some big games going on. If nothing changes today, then we'll have Clemson, Alabama, Oklahoma, and Iowa as our top four. Followed closely behind by Michigan State, who still has a shot. Ohio State is not in the running, so I'm not sure how they leapfrog their way in. I guess if one of the top three teams lost really badly and Michigan State, well, whoever wins Michigan State, Iowa, they could leapfrog into the 4 position. Maybe. That'd be a big stretch. Let's look at the rest of the top 10. Ohio State, Stanford, Notre Dame, Florida State, North Carolina. North Carolina is intriguing because they are playing for the ACC championship today. And some of these other teams that are ahead of them aren't playing at all. So a win could move them up the ladder. But can it move them up far enough to make a difference? In games that took place today, some are not championship games. Well, I guess maybe they all are. I'm rough on that. Game already finished. Number 19, Houston 24. Number 22, Temple 13. So Houston beats Temple. In the SEC, we've got number 2, Alabama playing number 18, Florida. In the Pac-10, we've got number 20, USC taking on number 7, Stanford. What happens if Stanford wins and some of the ones above them lose? Because they're at number 7, and the team ahead of them at 6, Ohio State, doesn't play, period. Clemson, the number 1 rank, is playing North Carolina. This is the game that intrigues me the most. If North Carolina were to happen to knock off number 1 Clemson, can they leapfrog enough? You're looking at Stanford needing to lose, I don't know. To me, North Carolina's got a good argument if they beat Clemson today or tonight at 8 o'clock. And if they don't, then I guess we can kind of understand that there's no argument to be had. And then the final game that's played today, the Big Ten Championship, number 5 Michigan State versus number 4 Iowa. To me, basically, that's a win and you're in. If Michigan State wins, they flip-flop places. If Iowa wins, they either stay the same or move up, depending on what other teams do. Interesting end to the football season here. And we'll see just how that plays its way out and who the 4 teams that are going to be playing for that national championship trophy. Switching, and I should probably also say that there are numerous coaching moves that were made this past week. North Carolina gives their coach Fedora a new 7-year deal. Syracuse to hire Bowling Green's Babers as head coach. North Texas to hire UNC offensive coordinator Littrell as coach. Rutgers close to signing OSU defensive coordinator Ash as coach. Virginia hires BYU's Mendenhall as head coach. East Carolina fires McNeil as their head coach in another story that ranks there as along the sad lines. Pitt star running back Connor has Hodgkin's lymphoma. Always hate to hear that about an athlete. Hate to hear it about anybody. So I know some people say, well, I just hate to hear it. I want to look at the LSU situation here and read a story that talks about what's happened at LSU. Nearly a week after deciding to stick with Les Miles as LSU's head coach, Tigers athletic director Joe Alleva admitted Friday that he looked at options for a potential head coaching change. In an interview with The Advocate, Alleva said he's now ready to move forward with Miles as his head coach, but said there would be some changes made, namely on offense. That is not a great vote of confidence, is it? Well, we're going to bring you back, but just a couple of weeks ago we were looking at possibly firing you. And in addition to that, we're going to make you change your coaching staff. Alleva said, "My plans are to help Les Miles win and be the coach here until he wants to retire. My goal is to help the man win." Okay, well, let's see if his actions follow through with that. And if you were Les Miles, would you stay in a situation like that, knowing that you would be one of the most sought-after coaches in the country if you were to leave? I don't know what to, or as some people would say, what to do. Let's look at the NCAA basketball top 25. Kentucky still number 1 in the AP. We're just going to go with the AP. Of course, there is the USA Today ESPN poll. Kentucky number 1, Maryland number 2, Michigan State 3, Kansas 4, Iowa State 5, Oklahoma 6, Duke 7, Villanova 8, North Carolina 9, Virginia coming in at 10. The Big Ten's Purdue at 11, Xavier is at 12, Gonzaga 13, Syracuse, Oregon, Vanderbilt is 14, 15, and 16, Cincinnati 17, Texas A&M 18, Arizona 19, and West Virginia 20. Finishing out the top 25 is Miami of Florida, SMU, Providence, Louisville, and Baylor. They make up numbers 21 through 25. I find it interesting that my Indiana Hoosiers went and dropped out of the top 25, which they should have, with some losses over in Hawaii. And then they played Duke and got their lunches handed to them. Let's see what the final score there was. Number 7 Duke beats Indiana 94-74. And I got to tell you, there are people all over Indiana that are screaming for Tom Crean's job. They want him out. This was supposed to be a good team. It was supposed to have been a good team for Indiana this year, and Yogi Ferrell came back thinking that they had a team to compete. Some good young players came in, some holdovers, and 5-3 at this point in the season. And knowing that the Big Ten is always tough to win in, dang. Can make, I guess I should say, for a long basketball season for those of us here in Indiana. Let's look at something else that took place. UCLA knocked off number 1 Kentucky. Which day was that? Yesterday. 87-77. So it looks like Michigan State is poised to move up. That must mean Maryland lost as well. Let me go back to my standings and take a look there. Scroll up to the Big Ten. Maryland did lose. Michigan State and Purdue are the only 2 undefeateds left in the Big Ten. Who did they lose to? They lost to North Carolina this past Tuesday, 89-81 in the Big Ten ACC Challenge. So that's always a fun week. Well, fun if your team comes out on top, more so, but the Big Ten ACC Challenge has been very good for college basketball, in my opinion, and very, very big fan of that. I need to get over here to my good friends from WrestlingNewsBlog.com and read some, I started to say sports events from them, wrestling events. Wrestling is a sport, in my opinion, professional wrestling. I know people would argue with me about that, but that's okay. I've been argued with before. I've been proven wrong before. I know people would say, well, it's scripted, and, well, it is. And but you tell me that those aren't athletes that are out there doing what it is they do. And I'll argue my side of that one anytime. And getting that pulled up here. Again, I'm headed out to the HPW, Hoosier Professional Wrestling Arena, here later tonight. And got several things going on in professional wrestling. Let me scroll down and get to the things that happened this week. Well, let's start with this one. WWE trying to find out why it is been losing its audience. And when you're on top and your numbers have been falling, it definitely is a concern to the company. And according to PWI Insider, WWE sent an email survey to its WWE Fan Council yesterday, questioning them on the current state of Raw. Questions included asking the fan when he or she watches Raw, when he or she changes the channel during Raw, and whether or not channel changing takes place during talking segments, matches, etc. This is likely the WWE's way of trying to determine why they have lost about 25% of its viewers since June. Wow. What a number. I think we read last week about Mick Foley and some discussion that he had about the product and how he was on his way to becoming an ex-WWE fan. Well, it's interesting that the very next week, Mick Foley is talking about the WWE hiring his son Dewey and also possibly having a role for his daughter Noelle. Let me see if this will download all the way so I can get this. Mick Foley posted the following on Facebook about the WWE hiring his son Dewey as a creative assistant beginning in 2016. Foley confirmed that there is also talk about WWE possibly hiring his daughter Noelle as a backstage interviewer. Son of a gun. So it seems that my son Dewey's hiring by WWE has caused some people to question the honesty or intentions of a few of my recent Facebook posts. From what I can gather, the criticism has fallen into one of two camps. One, I was critical of WWE's recent creative direction in order to open up an opportunity for my son to join the creative team. Or, two, I praised the past episode of Raw as some sort of thank you gesture for hiring my son. I also received several messages on social media pointing out the perception of nepotism involved in WWE's decision to hire my son, as if I had arranged for some type of high-paying piece of cake job for him with the company. Here is the truth. My son was hired 2 months ago by WWE Creative and will begin working with the company in January. He would have started earlier, but he and I both felt it was important for him to fulfill his commitment he made to the college that employed him as the director of a residence hall. He could have merely explained that this was his dream job and possibly a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, but he chose to stay because it was the right thing and because I told him that deep down Mr. McMahon would respect him as a man of his word. My son was not given this job because of his last name. He earned it. He earned it by working for hundreds of hours in solitude with no compensation to prove his writing skills and mind for the business. There are no piece-of-cake jobs in the WWE. As ESPN's Jonathan Coachman said of his time with WWE, you're expected to bring it every day. My son will do his best to bring it every day. He will be working long hours in a thankless, difficult job for entry-level money, the way it should be. There has also been a talk of my daughter joining WWE as a backstage interviewer. I certainly hope that turns out to be the case, but as of now, as far as I know, it's just talk. The hiring of my son in September by WWE has had no bearing on any of my posts about the company, be they negative or positive. I am both puzzled and insulted to think that some wrestling fans have become so jaded and cynical that they could read a few of those heartfelt Facebook posts or listen to my podcast with Stone Cold Steve Austin and doubt the sincerity of my words. Not everything in wrestling or life is an angle or a work. I love the WWE. I really do, Foley says. I literally began a meeting with Triple H 2 years ago by saying, I love this company. I love it now, and no matter what happens during the course of this meeting, I'll love it when I walk out the door. So I guess when I write something that is critical of WWE, I convince myself that I am showing them tough love, that the right people will read what I have to say. I have it on good authority that the right people do read my posts, and that my thoughts will be taken into consideration. But these past few days have made me re-examine my priorities. Maybe I should do the right thing as a parent and stop being so critical of the company in such a public way. His job will be tough enough without his dad throwing obstacles in his way. I think I will start using the text option on my phone when I feel like Mr. McMahon, Triple H, or Stephanie need to hear my opinions or feedback. Maybe I'll get fewer likes on my Facebook page, but I'll probably sleep better at night. Have a nice day, Mick Foley. You can catch me at my 2 final signings tonight in Felton. I ain't going to read those because that was from earlier in the week. So, Foley gives his opinion. Foley's son gets hired. People either think that Foley pitched a fit and his son got hired, which appears not to be the case, seeing as how that happened in September. Or people say that now that it is official, Foley said that he liked one of the last episodes of Raw. Not sure what to make of all of that, other than I believe Mick Foley is a man of integrity. I believe Mick Foley calls things the way he sees them, and sometimes that's not what people want to hear, and for that, people sometimes pay a price. Want to bring up, it's not professional wrestling, but it is MMA that we cover on here occasionally, especially when it has to do with Ronda Rousey. And hard time keeping my my browser from scrolling down on me. Here, let me get it over here. Dana White confirms Ronda Rousey will get immediate rematch against Holly Holm. UFC President Dana White stopped by the ESPN morning radio show Mike and Mike today, where he confirmed Ronda Rousey will indeed get a rematch against bantamweight champion Holly Holm. At UFC 193, Holm handed Rousey her first career loss in a devastating KO victory in the second round, improving her career record to 10-0. Dana White said him and CEO Lorenzo Ferreira would probably lose their promoter's license if they didn't make this rematch. He also went on to say that before this loss, Rousey, 12-0, went undefeated, beating opponents in 14 or 30 seconds, so the rematch is what makes sense. As far as when this fight will actually take place is unknown. Rousey is on a 6-month medical suspension and has prior movie commitments before she can step in the octagon again. Some fight fans are upset about this news because they believe it's unfair to have Holly to sit on the sidelines. Some even believe it's holding up the rest of the division. While all that may be true, at the end of the day, the UFC is a business, and Holm versus Rousey 2 is a good business move. There's no doubt it's an anticipated rematch, and whether you're Team Holm or Team Rousey, you'll be tuning, I think is what was meant there, in to watch. So that's what's going down with Rousey. And we had our good friend Vanessa on here after the Rousey loss, and this was one of the scenarios that she gave. In NXT, a Twitter exchange between James Storm and Adam Rose. And again, my browser is bouncing back and forth here. Let me get back up to that. Isn't it good to see James Storm in a good position? I bet he's thinking, though, that after TNA signs this new contract to go on Pop TV, that it might be going through his mind, dang, I was with them all this time and now they sign a good deal. But here's a Twitter exchange between Cowboy James Storm and Adam Rose following their match on last night's episode of NXT, in which Storm got the win and hitting Rose with his last call super kick. Storm tweeted, "Many use it to knock people down. Mine will knock you right out." Last call super kick. Thanks to Adam Rose for hanging around for last call. Adam Rose responded with, "James Storm got lucky. Rosebush, I want one more shot at the so-called cowboy." Storm followed that up with, and these were within a few minutes of each other. Storm's first one was at 8:30 p.m. on the 2nd. It took Rose about an hour and a half, but at 9:54, Rose responded. 9:57, Storm was back with what we were just getting ready to say. Any day or night, party pooper, you're going to be looking over your shoulder now when the bartender yells, "Last call." And then 20 minutes later, Storm says again, "Rose is red and a violet is blue. You got punched by my fist and kicked by my shoe. Last call, Cowboy 1, Rose 0. And Rose came back about a half an hour later and said, "Your poetry is bad. You got lucky, old lad. As for your fist and shoe, they'll be shoved up your toodaloo." And that I got to tell you, I like that. I've not been an Adam Rose fan since the WWE brought him up from NXT. I hated the gimmick that they had him in. But when these guys go back down to NXT, so many times they are in a position to be their old selves, and I'm afraid that the Adam Rose gimmick that they're moving him into now is another one of those goofy ones. Let's see. Global Force Wrestling champion Nick Aldis is injured. Former TNA World Heavyweight Champion and current GFW Global Force Champion Nick Aldis, better known as Magnus, suffered a torn tricep while working a tour of Mexico recently for Conan. Aldis on Twitter said, "I had surgery today to repair a torn bicep tendon that I injured in Mexico 10 days ago. Apologies to the promotions I've had to cancel for." And in another tweet, "I'm aiming to rehab ASAP and will keep you posted on my return to action. Thanks." Again, for those that think this isn't a sport, you find that there is plenty of real injuries, and well, I don't guess an injury equals sport, or else my knee wouldn't be sore right now, because I certainly wasn't doing sports when I injured my knee. But I don't see how you can watch professional wrestling and not think that those guys and gals are not professional athletes. In what I probably have as the final piece of information here on today's show, in an interview with Michael Cole, where he interviewed Lana and Rusev, and it is very interesting in that, well, first of all, when Trevor told me about this, he said they both kind of went in and out of their accents, and I see a comment here that says if she's going to continuously break her accent, she should just completely drop the whole Russian thing. It's going nowhere, especially now. The fact that WWE even uploaded this video shows that they really don't care. Well, I really don't care what this guy is saying, other than it is funny about the accents. What is not funny, and what is very, very commendable, in this candid interview, Rusev and Lana reveal the nature of their engagement and how they're staying faithful to one another, and when they will tie the knot. And Lana is saving herself for marriage. It's a rather long interview, and I didn't download it, but that is how they are preparing to become husband and wife. And it's another case of someone who has decided, such as in Tim Tebow that we talked last week, that they're purity before marriage is more important than, well, anything else when it comes to that topic. Well, that's going to do it for Sports Talk with Ed Boston today. We had a lot of information go out. Not many on the audio clips. So, hope you've enjoyed being with us. Join us again next week, 7 o'clock Eastern Time. Don't forget that at the beginning of the year, we are going to split Sports Talk into two separate. Sports Talk will continue on, but then we are also going to have, let me see if I find it here real quick before we go up. We're going to have a specific wrestling show. The name is not on the tip of my tongue right now. And so we're going to be doing that. We're so proud and happy to be on Spreaker. And God bless you. Go out and do the right thing. And we'll see you tomorrow on Let's Go to Church. This is part of the Ed Boston Podcast Network.